Today we went over multiplying integers, and these are the main rules that you need to focus on. And if you're wondering why these rules work, there is a video that's also within this page that you can watch that shows why those rules hold true for math. But really all you need to know is that a positive times a positive equals a positive. That dot means multiply. Negative times a negative is a positive. Negative times a positive is a negative, and since this one is just switched around, a positive times a negative is also a negative. And the rule we talked about in class is here they have the same signs, positive, positive, negative, negative, and so that's why it's positive. Here, both of the numbers are different signs, and so when it's different signs, it's going to be a negative answer. So when we looked at these in class, these are 5 examples of everything we did in class today. We looked at it and we said, okay, here's a negative times a positive, and we know a negative times a positive is a negative because they're different signs. And then you'd have to figure out 8 times 9, and you should know that that's 72. If not, you can use your multiplication chart to help you. The next one, negative times a negative, would be a positive because they're the same signs, so it would be a positive. And 2 times 11 is 22. Next one, a little bit more complicated, 3 numbers. And notice there's a couple different ways you can write multiplication with the dot, with parentheses, or with the x. The x you will not see as much this year. It's going to be mostly parentheses and a dot. So, and the way you would do this one is break it up. Just do the first 2 numbers first. Negative 1 times negative 2. Negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times 2 is 2. And then you still have to get that last number in. So then you're going to multiply that by negative 3. And then a positive times a negative is a negative. 2 times 3 is 6. The next part was exponents, and remember that little number up top is an exponent, so we would say this negative 2 to the 4th power. And what that means is this negative 2 gets multiplied by itself 4 times because this little number is 4. If it was 3, it'd only be 3 times. Oops, now I'm writing the wrong number. 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. So notice there's 4 negative 2's, and I'm going to put parentheses just to separate those a little bit more. And so again, we'd break it up 2 numbers at a time. A negative times a negative is a positive. 2 times 2 is 4. Then we're going to multiply it by negative times a negative is a positive. 2 times 2 is 4. And so we end up with positive 4 times positive 4. And 4 times 4 equals 16. So again, break it up into smaller parts. The last one, we saw this type of problem where you have to evaluate the expression when we did adding and subtracting. And again, all you do is replace the numbers. So A is 4. There's no symbol in between. That means you're multiplying. So multiply. B is negative 3. And negative 3 is squared. Now, there's no parentheses or anything, so that means that this squared only goes to that variable, just to the b. 4 is not squared. So we could rewrite that, and it's 4 times negative 3 twice. And so for this one, we have 4 positive times a negative is a negative. 4 times 3 is 12. Then we have to multiply it by negative 3. Well, a negative times a negative is a positive. And let's just say you don't know what that multiplication fact is. Remember, you can always do your multiplication longhand. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 3 is 36, and find your answer that way. That's all we did for today.